Well, hello, world. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Art of Inspired Selling live stream. So happy for you to join us today. As you know, we'll give it a little bit of time for people to come online. Please make sure to post your comments or your questions, whether you're watching on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. And today is the first day that I'm actually going live on Twitch. Now, hold on with your thought. We're not doing any gaming today. There's going to be some fun things that we're going to do as early adopters on Twitch. So stay tuned to see what those amount to be. And then we'll be able to give you guys some notice as to how you can do business broadcasting live on Twitch. But today, for the Art of Inspired Selling, I bring on B2B business owners who are 6- and 7-figure business owners who have not just survived, but they're actually thriving in the new normal. Now, we don't know how long we're going to be here, but it's my gift to the community to be able to bring these people on to the show, to be able to interact with them. And I want them to be highlighted because they're doing what they do and they're giving back to the community with my show to help you guys with wisdom and nuggets of information that you can take and implement immediately into your business. So without further ado, today my guest is Jen Ferguson. Jen is an award-winning, results-driven business leader and growth consultant. She's recognized as one of LinkedIn's top sales stars with over 2 decades of experience in sales, marketing, and leadership. Now, shut the front door right there because becoming a top 100 sales star on LinkedIn is a pretty big deal. So you guys should please take note to see what she's done to stand out from the crowd and to receive the recognition that she did from LinkedIn and the people that are on the platform. So Jen is also the founder of Sales 911, where she helps organizations shift to become more revenue focused in their initiatives and optimizes the customer life cycle. We've been talking about that. Jen is also a founding member of RevGenius. I'm a member. Participates as a mentor for Girls Club, serves as a VIP expert for Fairygodboss, and is a Girl Scout troop leader. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, Jen Ferguson.
Hi.
Hi.
Here. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. It's my pleasure. And, you know, I love interacting with you. We are on the boards, not the board. We're actually just chapter presidents for the National Association of Women Sales Professionals, because Jen and I both share the passion for wanting to elevate and mentor women in sales, something I stand for completely over and over again. Jen as well. Jen, tell us about yourself. Where are you coming live from today?
Yeah, I'm in Clearwater, Florida, but I'm originally from New York and, started out in retail sales, opening stores across the country before I got that opportunity to move into B2B. My first taste of B2B was actually in the cigar industry. I was a general manager for a cigar business. And so it included like a store and a bar, but it also had a private membership club. And I remember just being so enthralled with the idea that these gentlemen paid for membership to come and network. And it was just like there was a corporate membership and they would come and build those relationships. And I saw that power of relationship building. And really, when I had the opportunity to go to B2B sales, I was like, this is amazing.
So what kind of price would somebody pay to be a member of a cigar club?
Yeah, I mean, a corporate membership would run about $5,000 for a year.
Wow. And could they bring anyone then, or was it limited to a certain number of people?
That would be for 5 people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. Can we have social distancing cigar bars now? Like every 6 feet, somebody could sit? I'm not sure.
No, but we're well past the cigar boom, right? Where that was popular, and gentlemen who were executives wanted to go to private smoking rooms where they could network with other people, and well past that. We're more, many people out there are runners now. That wasn't a thing back then.
Now it's the social running club. I just have a friend that finished a social half marathon. So Whatever floats your boat, guys, whatever. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing today, Jen. Are you coaching, consulting? What business are you running today?
Yeah, coaching, consulting, really helping companies disrupt their silos within their organizations, between marketing and sales, so that they have complete organizational efficiency and are able to really turbocharge that revenue engine to really produce the results that they're looking for.
And that's really been a hot topic. And I want to encourage you guys, if you're out there, I just want to know if people are there. I'm not seeing anything yet in the chat to make sure that I know we're live. So anyway, so I've spoken on this subject, more than once. And I guess because I come from smaller companies where I was both sales and marketing leader, so the two people actually did interact together. But it's interesting when you get into really large enterprise organizations, how, here we go. We are live, Jeremy says. So thank you so much, Jeremy. So it's interesting that sales and marketing tend to be a little bit of a struggle at the top for attention and budget. In some organizations, I've seen that marketing becomes just a content powerhouse because the CEO or the owner of the business says, I want this made, I want this made, I want this made. And they're cranking out content so in abundance that the sales reps don't even have time to digest that and to make sure that collateral at least is able to convert, right, people over, and who knows what buyer persona it might be made for. What are your thoughts on that? How are you coaching people to actually bridge that gap and have that conversation in the same seat at the table when they're working deals? Is it customer-based marketing, or is it, what are you suggesting to people?
Yeah, that it be buyer focused. That'd be focused entirely on, what drove their customers there in the first place, what that experience is like throughout that customer journey, the buyer journey, to eventually becoming a customer, and making it easy to do business with you. Having marketing and sales alignment, and really that communication be open to new ideas, open to all the voices that have an idea to bring to the table, is super important, especially when you're working within large teams where, maybe the first touch are like sales development representatives, where, they're gathering the insights. That knowledge has to be shared. And how do you share it if you don't have some alignment, right?
Right.
And that's why I think that the concept of really focusing on the buyer experience throughout their journey is so important. There's so many gaps.
Break that down, because primarily, my audience tend to be B2B solopreneurs, and they might have had a great idea that's hit boom, and they don't have classical marketing or sales experience. So what is that buyer experience? What are you talking about when you mean buyer experience?
Well, when someone engages with you, the response time, right? How quickly you get to them, how quickly you're able to help them, the value that you provide them along the way, whether you're being a resource or you're being a salesperson. Okay. Buyer trust is down when it comes to being salespeople. They don't like the idea of salespeople. So how are you interacting with them in a way where you're providing value and being a resource without necessarily, breaking down their doors saying, come on, do business with me?
Yeah. So have you seen any best practices? And if you're watching this, I want to hear from you if you have a success story of how you used to be an in-person sales person, and now you've pivoted into online sales, and I want to hear some success stories. So what are you suggesting with your clients now, Jen, to bridge that? I don't know that I'd really call it a gap. It's just this new change. How are you seeing or coaching people to bring the marketing and the sales together in this new normal time where this might be the only chance we get to sell to somebody is the 15-minute Zoom, which might actually be more time than we had in the past. I'm not sure, but what are you thinking? And you can answer that question. We have some we answer my question first, then Danny, we're going to get over to you and we're going to bring your question over. So what are you coaching people on to do in the new social distancing world?
Yeah, to really create a brand. A matter of fact, I got a email today from Outreach with a new infographic about how everything is a multi-channel approach, multi-touch, multi-channel. And part of that is being a human and humanizing yourself to your customers, to your audience. And the power of using social media to do that is huge. I think the stat was like 90% of top performing salespeople are using social media right now to really gain their results. So how do you do that? You start with, personalizing yourself, building your brand, sharing insights, being a resource to everyone you meet. And, that's just, people buy from people. And right. So being a real person as opposed to a salesperson is especially important right now.
Yep. And so let me bring this question on screen here from Danny. She says, do you think the SDR role should report to sales or marketing? What are the pros and cons of each strategy? So why don't you start by defining the acronym, what's an SDR?
Yeah, a sales development representative. I think, there's value in both. Having that alignment with sales is crucial because they need to have that strong partnership with the account executives, right? Mm-hmm. But reporting to marketing gives marketing those insights. So maybe something more like a RevOps leader that has an equal footing with sales and marketing is a good way to go. And the reason that is because then they have an equal seat at the table. Their focus is on the buyer. And you have a non-partisan person to be able to navigate all of those, voices, opinions, ideas, and all the ways you can leverage the insights. And it'll create a better buyer experience. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. I mean, Amazon got to where it was by creating that B2C buyer experience. What is B2B doing on their side to create a buyer experience where they make it as easy to do business with you as possible?
Yeah, exactly. And in today, right? Yeah. Life is complicated right now. Emotions are heightened. How can you simplify one more thing to do or one more vendor to change to right now might throw somebody over the edge, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you've got to make it simple. You've got to no complication, no complicated contracts. Let's just try to simplify what we're doing. Let's take that question off. We still have stuff to get to, you guys, but let me just say, so now Jeremy has a question and he says, what if you didn't have a single RevOps leader?
Okay. Well, then there are ways.
Let's remember, Jeremy, what's a RevOps? What does that mean, RevOps?
Yeah, RevOps is revenue operations. So sometimes you will not have a revenue operations person. Mm-hmm. And that's typical in a small business or a startup, you wouldn't have that person. So, maybe an operations person that has that ability to be objective. Maybe it's finding ways to create that team alignment in a positive way where all of the ideas and contributions are heard. A lot of this goes back to culture. The whole reason why there was a problem with the sales and marketing concept are the silos. Mm-hmm. And so how do you disrupt the silos in a way that you create a great buyer experience and give everyone an opportunity to be heard? I actually have an ebook about this that I think you're going to share at the end, right?
I can. I didn't. When I go back in and post the comments, I'll make it public, and then everybody can have access to it, right. And they can learn about the silos. Or what's the title of the ebook? I just need to make sure and check.
Disrupt the Silos.
Okay.
The title of the ebook, but basically It takes you through all of the questions to ask yourself as you're looking through the buyer and customer journey. So everything from data to sales development to sales, marketing, customer success, and then even culture. If one particular part of the house has more political power or equity, is going to make a huge difference as to what initiatives get pushed within an organization. So having equal power and being able to listen to everyone is super crucial.
Yeah, super important. Okay, so Danny says, thank you. That's a good way to put it. A non-partisan person. Okay, so let's get over. Jen prepared a couple of slides for us today that we just want to talk about. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see it. And if you're tuning in later on the podcast, I'll have the slides in a link that you can definitely download and take a peek at. But Jen did a nice job of not overly texting us with the busy slides. So let's take a look at the first. Is this the first one?
Yes, that's the first one.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea here, and we were talking about humanizing yourself and getting yourself out there to really take advantage of this time now, right? We're all at home. We have access to social media. There's lots of things going on, and there's lots of opportunity to actually build your brand. And the advantages of that are huge. From a visibility standpoint, whether it's for your business, for yourself as a job hunter, for just getting your company out there, if you're a contributor, there's just lots of potential. So by doing that, you're building and you're showing your authenticity. You're showing that human connection that, look, I'm a real person. These are the real things about me. I mean, a perfect example today is I posted something about my kids going back to school, right? And I was able to actually improve my situation. And I did that because I'm part of a community where I had a connection who was connected with me on LinkedIn over at RevGenius. And she was able to provide me a solution to face shields for my kids as they go to school. And so not only that, but she's actually able to provide me pricing on the plexiglass that's going to be required for school. So she improved my kids' lives, right? And she saved me money. And that happened because I joined that community and she became part of my network to give me that feedback. Now, so many ways can you, by building relationships, just improve everyone's lives, helping others. I'm sorry. I'm draining here.
So I want to talk just a second because we are very active on LinkedIn. You are right, the LinkedIn star here, but people say on LinkedIn, like, I don't want all these people to come to LinkedIn because they're going to treat it like Facebook. Right? They're going to post all this stuff about personalization and what's going on in their life. So personal branding is about telling the world, right, what you stand for, what you stand against, really understanding your mission, your values, and then building that into your personal brand about the information, your spin on life, right? What you think about it. So how can you not over personalize yourself on a professional platform like LinkedIn?
Yeah, you want to think about it in context of what you do, right? So, I mean, I'm a working mom. So I posted about what's impacting my working mom life, right? And that's entirely appropriate. Would I post, my kids and I did this weekend? Maybe not. Not unless I had a way to tie it into a lesson for business. And I've done that. I mean, I think I have posts about Sonic the Hedgehog, but they all relate to some business reason. Like,
you were inspired by the situation, right?
I watched Sonic the Hedgehog and it taught me this.
Right.
I think I have like 3 posts on it.
And so I have a personal Facebook page where I try to keep it 100% personal. I need to do a little cleaning up because I've joined a bunch of groups and people are friending me. And then I have a business Facebook page. So, there's a place for everything. Facebook is where you can get really personal because those should be your friends, your BFFs of the world and everything else, which is why I say that in B2B marketing and sales, like LinkedIn is the platform where you want to go and connect with people and do professional networking. Facebook just might not be the best place for you. Although I've heard some B2B salespeople who are in these groups that they do. I asked the guy I talked to, he does about $200,000 in sales just through networking on Facebook in some groups. So I'm not going to completely discount it.
Well, it depends on, you want to be where your customers are, right? So if your customers are on Facebook, that's where you should be talking about businesses on Facebook. If your customers are on LinkedIn, that's where you should be. If your customers are on Twitter, that you should definitely participate over there. So it really depends on where they are. And, I find sometimes they're not where you expect them. It's quite common to have CIOs or CTOs that chill on Twitter. That's where they prefer, or Generation X over on Instagram.
Right.
And so you can't ignore any particular platform because it's about being multi-channel and being adaptable to wherever they are. Exactly.
And there's two things to think about, not only where your target market is, but where are they digesting the kind of information that you're posting, right? So they could be on Facebook, but they're, as I always say, I'm on Facebook to watch cat memes and to play those silly little games to find out which movie star I look like, right? I'm not necessarily there to buy in my regular feed, but if I'm joining a particular community, like you just mentioned, where I'm going to meet people, like-minded people, that's where I would talk about business on Facebook. So we're not here to talk about social media so much. I just wanted to get to the fact of personal branding doesn't mean throwing your personal story out for everybody to look at. And it doesn't really mean living out loud. It just means establishing your presence, your thought leadership, your subject matter expertise for the world to see so they know who you are when it comes for an opportunity for them to choose you.
Exactly. That's it exactly. And then taking advantage of communities and events and, the live events that come up where you can meet people in the chat and connect with them. And then taking it a step further and not just staying online, but really spending the time to do like a Zoom call or a Google Meet so that you're actually meeting people and learning about what they do and how you can help each other.
Yes.
I mean, had that not happened today, I'd be spending a lot more money on plexiglass.
So you say live events using opportunities to go live will gain greater exposure. People tend to attend. I'm reading off the tiny screen when I have it 15 times larger over here. People will tend to more live sessions, especially today.
Yeah.
Right? So to elaborate on this a little bit more, Danny has another comment here. She says, we love brands with a purpose. If you think about your personal brand and what your purpose of working is, it's very much, and it doesn't show the rest. Let's see.
I see. It into building a personal brand, which is true.
Tie it into building personal brand. Yep.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you are who you are, and showing people who you are is important. That's how you build that trust. I mean, even back in the cigar boom, when, people were coming to that club, half the time while they were doing their wheeling and dealing, I had no idea what they were selling, but I knew which people were meeting and creating those strong relationships that would continue to come back to the cafe for lunch and meet on a regular basis and creating that bond, right? And right now, while things are the way they are, you still have that ability to create these bonds. You do it through community. And you do it at places like RevGenius, at Girls Club, where we have, leadership training. You do it in the tribe, at the National Association of Women Sales Professionals. All those places where you can start building stronger network and stronger connections to then find opportunities for podcasts. And that's how we know each other. I didn't have this opportunity if we hadn't met there.
Right.
So, there's a lot of potential out there. And, a lot of people get fearful about the idea of going and speaking at things like this. And that ability to turn fear into fuel is huge, because it'll propel you further and will get you out there.
Yes. And so my last session last week was about public speaking. And we gave a couple of tips to just get to know your audience, maybe hang out where you're going to speak, understand how they act, how they talk, maybe. So I've also written an article on this, which you could apply, you guys, to lives, right? So Jen and I, we created an event on LinkedIn. And we invited people, and people said they were going to attend. So if you were the speaker and you saw there were 71 people that were going to attend the event, you might spend a little bit of time looking at the profiles of the people that said they were going to join the event, right? So you feel comfortable with the audience that you're presenting to. And it's not such an unknown, because then you might say, oh my gosh, like 50 of those people I'm already connected with. Right? They all came from RevGenius. But before we go farther, tell everybody, what is RevGenius?
RevGenius is, a sales and marketing community full of people who are just looking to level up. They're looking to improve their skills. They attend roundtables where they get to meet new people and talk about important topics to help grow, what they're already doing and just improve.
And so if they're interested in joining, is it invite only, or how do they get to find out more about it?
Yeah, you could just DM me and I will shoot you over the information.
Okay. All right. So there's that. So you guys know what that is. So how many are you speaking in the next couple of weeks, months, other live programs?
No, I'm doing some podcasts right now. I've got some podcasts lined up. I've got Selling in Heels. I'm also doing a webinar for Fairygodboss that is...
Oh, what is Fairygodboss? Now, what is that? I saw it and I didn't even look it up.
Yeah, it's another women's network. And so it's supporting basically women who are either job hunting or basically very similar to the National Association of Women Sales Professionals, but it's not targeted for sales. It's targeted for just women in general.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of stuff on diversity, but I do have a webinar coming up in September, and that's about analyzing culture ad versus culture fit in your job search.
Okay.
So finding those companies where your voice is going to be celebrated and you're going to have the opportunity to grow, and how to identify those companies and how to get in the door. So. And
that's really good for right now. It's very relevant, since a lot of people have the opportunity to look for a new job, right? Yes. Look for a new job, look for that culture. So maybe we can, at a later date, we can talk about what are some of those questions you would ask when you're interviewing a company, because you're looking for that fit. I spoke to a company and I said, can you tell me about your diversity and inclusion plan? And there were crickets, and I thought, this is the time for everybody to have that. And also, if you're recruiting somebody that is definitely a spokesperson for a National Association of Women Sales Professionals or another thing, like, how could you bring them into your organization and then expect them to stay quiet?
Yeah, I mean, I just attended a webinar recently, and, one of the main topics, especially in tech sales, was that it starts with inclusion. That if you're not going to have an inclusive environment where, everyone has a voice, that what's going to happen is all these women that you recruit are just going to run away. And so having that inclusion first is super important. And that's, how you celebrate wins and how people can bring ideas to the table, and all of the little things that happen day to day that, make you feel like you're part of the company, or you're just there and not necessarily part of what is happening.
The boys club.
Exactly. You want to be able to make a contribution. You want to be at a place that will support you and let you thrive and bring everything you have to offer to the table and recognize you for the potential and, be celebrated for who you are.
Yeah. I'm a little older. And so when I was going to school, I just had this conversation with a client this morning that for some reason I knew that I really needed to know how to golf to be able to fit in my business ventures in the future. So I actually took the class to teach golf in college. And then fast forward, I'm in management. We're hanging out at a golf club. Everybody's drinking scotch, right? And smoking cigars. I'm the youngest woman and the only woman in management. So I had to learn how to drink, I don't know what. So I'm like, well, what looks good? I guess champagne and smoking a cigar looks good, right? After a round of golf. And then I think that same company went on to give baseball bats as our trophies. And it was called the Big Slugger Award. I mean, what a bro culture that was back in the day. I mean, and that's, what the top salespeople in the company were women.
Yeah. And
they were women, and they had a lineup of baseball bats. And I'm like, what are we going to do with these bats?
That's hilarious.
I don't know.
I've seen it too. It's typically every place I've been in the top 1%. And it's amazing to me that, no matter where you go, you still have that bro culture. And you can't get away from it. I mean, I remember being in instances where, I would share an idea.
Wait, Jeremy has a solution for the baseball bats.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in situations where, I would share an idea, right? And you wouldn't hear a word, just silence, right? And then the next guy would share an idea, but he would literally share my idea reworded, and suddenly it was the most genius thing ever. Like, everyone is celebrating, oh my gosh, that's so genius. Now, what killed me is, like, within the last year, or actually the last time I went to a networking event that was related, the same thing happened to me, and at a networking event. And I was just like, man, things have not, they're not quite.
They're not changing quickly.
Yeah.
And that's where I think my persistence and my grit and my tenacity came and developed, because we couldn't just say it. We had to prove it. Our numbers had to prove the numbers had to prove it. The proof is in the numbers. You couldn't say things anymore because, you're not going to do that, whatever. I don't know. We're on a tangent here, men versus women. So let's get over to our scheduled events. Engage. You talked a little bit. Engage with community network.
Yeah, and there are even industry-specific communities, and they're all over the place.
Yes.
Not only LinkedIn, but there are some industry-specific communities on Facebook where you can leverage some of this.
Oh, yeah. What kind of groups are you in, just in case people are looking? And then I'll go through some of the groups I'm in that have been just wonderful.
Yeah, I'm in literally every sales group you can possibly think of. You could actually probably go to my LinkedIn and find the whole list. And I try to be very active. But for communities in general, I've got the National Association of Women Sales Professionals. I've got RevGenius. I've got Girls Club for leadership training, right? And then I've got Fairygodboss. So
that's a lot. So how do you make that fine line in not being overwhelmed with all of those groups? Because I've found that if I'm in too many groups where I feel like I'm giving and not giving back, not receiving back information, then there needs to be a balance, right? So how are you, Jen, managing that balance of running a business, being so active on LinkedIn, all these groups? Do you do any time blocking? Do you allow yourself? Are you up from? Well, you're a bit like me, I think, and I'm up. If you get a response from me at 3 a.m, you don't have to respond back. But so how are you managing all of that social media activity?
Yeah, no, I do a lot of time blocking. I really do. And I also like my early mornings are for LinkedIn. My
Hmm.
like late afternoons for, National Association of Women Sales Professionals and Fairygodboss. Fairygodboss has given me lots of opportunities to make suggestions for webinars and things like that, which, I really, I like doing, and I like being able to contribute in that way.
Hmm.
Girls Club is probably the smallest time investment, but I believe I get a lot of value out of it because the proteges, when they need help and you're able to help, it's such a rewarding experience.
Hmm.
And I really like being able to contribute there. It's a smaller time investment though. So it's more like, a few times a month. And so that's pretty great.
So there's got a few guys watching this. I hope, Jeremy, you might be our token dude here. I can't tell if you're still watching. But do you think men are as willing as women to mentor and give back?
Oh, absolutely. And there are some men that actually mentor in Girls Club.
Okay.
And some of the proteges specifically ask for a male mentor. We've had some live sessions where, a man's insights on how to handle some of these situations has been so valuable.
Yes, because we're selling still in a lot of industries in a man's world.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean,
Yep.
my target market is 79% male, and I talk about women in sales pretty regularly. I'm literally giving myself an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I'm passionate about and it's something I care about. So I'm going to do it because my daughter, who, is already a little salesperson with her Girl Scout cookies, will eventually end up in tech sales someday, likely because she's a little gamer.
Oh,
And at night,
Jeremy says on average, I'd say that's not the case. Women are more likely to give back. So that's his opinion.
yeah.
So it's, I'm in groups where men are heading them up. I think I'm in 3 or 4 groups where men head them up. Marketing Mastermind, an inner circle paid membership that's headed up by a man, and then a YouTuber
Hmm.
group that I'm in. And so those guys are giving back. They're in there giving information all the time. Um, and it's interesting. I guess I'd have to sit and think about that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I did an interview yesterday for the Inquisitor, right, with Marcus. And, he brought up, I think it was him that brought it up, but, just women in sales and how to get more women in sales and such. And I think there's a lot of really supportive people out there that either you believe, yes, it's a problem and we should be working on it, and I see it, or you don't think it's a problem. There's either one or the other. And if you're aware that it's a problem, right, having that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to speak up when you see something. I don't know how many times where I've been sort of shut down in
Mm-hmm.
front of someone else who is a man, and the moment the other person walked away, said, that was awful. Oh my gosh, how I can't believe he treated you like that. But he didn't say anything when that person was still there.
Right.
Waited until the minute he
So
walked
here's something that
away.
happened to me twice recently. We were, just because we're talking about Black Lives Matter, women
Mhm.
lives matter, whatever, everybody's lives matter. But the point that people are missing, twice this was said to me by people of decision-making status. I hire the right candidate. I hire the right candidate. So I, in one case, I said, hiring the right candidate is not the answer that I was looking for. What the answer that I'm searching for is that you're intentionally hiring to equal the playing field.
Mhm.
You're looking for that person. You're looking for someone because you recognize the imbalance in your company, or you recognize the imbalance in the culture, and you want to do whatever it takes to make sure you're raising that bar for equality because you support it. That's the
Yeah.
answer that I was looking for.
100%. That's the answer that it should be. But, so many studies will say that, for men, they hire based on potential, and for women, they hire based on experience. And so if you're never going to be able to get that experience, you're never going to be able to get to that next level.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not looking at it as potential, because women have great potential, then, then we're just kind of stuck. And I'd like to believe that there are so many good people out there who recognize the value that women bring to the table, as well as people of color. I mean, there's so many studies about the value of diversity within organizations that I don't know how anyone can deny it.
Right. And the other question that I had that left me a little bit jaw dropped is, what is it with you and women?
Yes. I got
Wow.
at an interview recently, and I was like, well, it's because there aren't enough of us there, and there aren't enough of us in the leadership positions. And, I firmly believe that since my daughter is likely going to be in sales someday, that I want a better experience for her. Because at the end of the day, each employee has an experience, just like every customer.
Mm-hmm.
How are you serving your buyers? How are you serving your employees? How are you serving your customers? So that you're creating great experiences all the way around.
Yes. Yes. Just interesting. Food for thought, peeps. There's still people out there asking those kind of questions. So let's look right back at your slides just so that we can get it through it all before we wrap up. So we talked about the personal branding, the live events, the scheduled events. And now you talked about tactical steps that people can take. So break into this just a little bit.
Yeah, joining communities like RevGenius, joining communities for your industries that you're working, but really getting out there and spending the time to get to know people, because that is going to propel you forward. You're going to find opportunities to speak. You're going to find events to attend, and, using those opportunities to really gain that traction and a visibility right now will be a stepping stone, so that when things do recover and we are able to have events again, you're going to be the speaker people is going to come to for industry events, that you're going to be able to propel yourself forward in that way. And that's how you become a thought leader, and recognized in your industry as someone that, people want to work with, right? And then also connecting with people. Don't just leave it online. Have that face-to-face, one-on-one, whether it's Zoom, Google Meet, or whatever, but take the time to actually connect, so that, people get to know who you are and think of you when someone needs a service or a business, right? And then additionally, just always lead with value, being a resource to everyone. I get so much out of being a resource at RevGenius, but also Girls Club and Fairygodboss, and the responses that I get from women and from everyone that I work with fuels me.
Yes.
It makes me feel good about what I'm doing and how I'm contributing to the community out there. My kids in their school, they have this idea of bucket fillers. And so when you give to other people, you're helping fill their bucket of positivity. When you take from other people, you're taking from their positivity, right? And if we're all going around the world being bucket fillers, fueling other people, then you're just spreading good vibes, good karma.
Yes. And you're inspiring people, like the art of inspired selling. So let's talk just one sec. I don't want people to lose sight of the fact that you still need to generate revenue. Yes. We're not talking about being a social butterfly all day long. At the end of the day, you've got to sell something. The people you talk to have got to know what you do to generate revenue and who your target market is. Because I might have said this before, but I had a gentleman say to me, Kathryn, you need to really tell me exactly what it is you want to do, because I want to blow wind in your sails. I want to see you off to success. Well, if you can't get clear in who you're serving and what problem you're solving and what you're going to do and what the positive outcome is for that person, then all those conversations that you're having when you're giving, people can't give back because they aren't specifically, they can't identify who they can grasp from the crowd and push your way, right?
Exactly.
So it's
100%.
really important for that. Yep. Okay, Pete. Jeremy says, bye. See you later. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for interacting with us today. So I think we're just about ready to wrap up. Jen, tell us about how people can contact you. Here, we're going to talk about the ebook on how to optimize your sales process and disrupt the silos in your organization. Tell them how they can find you. And how do you generate revenue?
Yeah. Now you can find my website at sales-911.com, right? And you can find the ebook there. You can also find my blog there. And additionally, I can be found on LinkedIn, and it's, the /sales911 is where you can find me. Super simple. And I would love to connect with anyone if I'm already not connected with you.
Yes.
And, I really hope everyone, got some value out of this today.
Well, I hope they did too. It's really great to have like-minded people on the show to be able to discuss about how our minds work, what we're thinking of, how we're trying to give back to the community, what things matter to us, what things are important in this social selling world that we're living in today. And then sales, guys, sales cures all. Right?
It does.
ABC, close that business. And I know it's slower this time. So Jen's here to support. She's giving valuable information on both her LinkedIn posts, her other social media posts, her websites. If you're a woman in sales, please join National Association of Women Sales Professionals. You can get into our tribe for free and hanging out and just checking out some of the valuable content that's delivered there. And then if you want to become a member, we're here to support you and to help you grow to be the top 1%. We're not talking 10%. We want 1% of the sales team. So Danny says, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much, Danny, for being here and for supporting Jen. And then if anybody has anything else next week, I believe we have an accounting guru on. I'm not quite sure. If not, you guys might have to just look at me for an hour. But thanks so much. Remember, the Art of Inspired Selling is a B2B live stream where I bring on 6- and 7-figure business owners to we definitely deliver value to you so that you can not just survive in the new normal, but you can thrive. So you can find us streaming live on Twitter, through Periscope, on YouTube, and on Facebook. So thank you so much. My application's still in for LinkedIn Live. I'm sure to get that soon.
I have one in too. So
yeah, stay on the air here, Jen. We'll wrap up in just a second. Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Peace out, and thanks so much for showing up.